The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah! Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on a break!
With Ambar Garcia, Bryan Broaddus, Nick Harris, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Friday, November 1st, 2024, Season 20, Episode 60. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We're live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star, presented by LG. LG is the world's #1 OLED TV brand for 11 years and counting. See why at LG.com/OLED Evo. How's everybody doing?
Doing well.
Survive Halloween? Was it Halloween? I was about to say Thanksgiving. Survive Halloween?
I worked until like midnight last night, so yeah, it
Look
was
at
an
you,
eventful night. Yeah,
Mr. Hard Worker.
You know, another day, another dollar. Can't let up.
You start working for somebody else, and all of a sudden you're working until midnight. That's how you do it?
Yeah, exactly, right. It was funny, though, for those of you that don't know, Tommy Yarsh, who just joined at DallasCowboys.com, that's my guy. Go check out his work. But he's from Houston, and he's kind of moved in with me at least until the end of the year just to,
Oh, yeah, I forgot you guys are currently roommates.
Isn't that so weird? Like, you leave the Cowboys and you go work for Forward Star Telegram, and then we hire somebody who's a friend of yours, who also is now living with you, and so you can kind of lead him along the way. Like,
I'm so happy with how it worked out. First off, it's
so
a blessing.
Funny.
It really is. But I've never had to do like the Halloween thing. Like, this is my first time living in a home since I was like in a house since I was like 5 years old. So it's like the kids were coming around the neighborhood. Apparently, I wasn't even home, and Tommy was like, "Yeah, I didn't really know what to do," and they didn't knock on the door. So I was like, maybe I need to go outside. And so Tommy was like sitting outside, sitting outside, like handing out candy to kids. And
that's a nice guy. He actually went out of his way to figure it out.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
So he stamped our address as a good home going forward, whereas I was out, doing shenanigans. Who knows? But it was funny.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, y'all made it work. And so everybody's in, and we got a good show planned for you guys today. We'll get you ready for Cowboys versus Falcons.
This studio now looks so depressing. It looks so sad without decorations like that.
Well, get on that.
Sorry.
Decorate. You're more than welcome to decorate. We got Thanksgiving coming up. So.
We need the fall decorations.
Yeah,
some leaves, some stuff.
You're creative.
We need to get a bigger decoration budget.
So
we ain't getting no decoration budget, just for the record. That ain't happening.
Just saying.
Whatever you can do it with whatever you got.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much would you flip your lid if I brought a live turkey in before Thanksgiving?
I'm cool with that.
You'd be cool with it?
Let's go
Okay,
for it.
all right. It's
10.
Why would you even have a live
I don't know, but I'm going to figure it out.
Let's go for it.
No,
I'm still waiting for Mrs. Doubtfire to show up.
Well, last night, Broaddus.
Oh, yeah. What happened?
I'm still waiting.
Last night, Broaddus took the Texans in the Thursday night football game.
Oh.
Mrs. Doubtfire likely to show up next Friday.
Well, bet we're in on that.
I'm 2 down now. I've just anxiety in this bet payoff stuff that we have to do on 105.3 The Fan. We have a survivor pool, if you don't know, and we pick games every week, and if you lose, you have to do a bet payoff. I've sat in a cold tub for 20 minutes. I've eaten countless things, hot gummies, all kinds of things.
Shave your eyebrows.
Shave my eyebrows.
They're back, though.
They are back. They're coming back. So I'm down to the point now where I'm going to have to dress up as Mrs. Doubtfire. And I'm debating on, I think I have enough time between shows that I can leave here and then get it done and then be on my show.
No, just come prepared. Just come as Mrs. Doubtfire.
I am not walking into this building dressed as Mrs. Doubtfire.
That's a short walk, though.
It is.
If you park in the garage, it's a short walk.
It would be his look, though. He walks into the one person he did not want to see on that day.
I walk.
Britt. That's who he's walking to. Just see Britt.
I have to go like down that. They make us, and we have to check in.
Yeah.
So we have to get a card, and I have to go down the elevator. So yeah, there's no.
Wear a trench coat. Wear a trench coat over it, and you'll be fine.
I don't think so.
You're no fun.
Yeah,
that'd be so much fun.
It is, but I'm to the point now where it's eat pig's feet or dress up as Mrs. Doubtfire is what I have to do. So I'm getting close to like actually having to show up. But I think I have enough time between shows to go put on a costume for that.
Or there's a bathroom literally right next to us
Yeah.
where you can just come and change in there and then come to the
Have you seen Mrs. Doubtfire?
Yes, I looked it up after
You
you
looked
mentioned it. Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's a bunch of shenanigans, like the dress.
It's pantyhose. It's pantyhose. It's a skirt. It's a blouse. It's a sweater. It's a brooch. I got the glasses.
The wig.
You got the wig.
Yeah.
It's makeup. There's a lot involved for Mrs. Doubtfire because if I do it half A like they think I might,
you can't mail it in.
They're not going to let me. They're not going to let that. If I don't.
How about this? You come early enough, I'll help you with your makeup.
There we go. Win. There you go.
Now you're thinking
There we go.
about it.
I might
now
have
you're
you-
thinking about it.
I might have you help me with my makeup while I'm on regular clothes. Is what I might do.
So you're just gonna roll through the hall with regular clothes and makeup.
I'm just gonna roll up with regular clothes and makeup on. Yeah.
Okay.
That's funny.
That would actually be funny too if anybody runs into you. That could be interesting. All right, let's go and jump into this thing. We got to talk about some injuries this morning.
Please.
Aside from Bryan.
Literally a little while ago, Jerry was on 105.3 The Fan and made mention of Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah.
And mentioned that he has a tear in his calf. What are we hearing about this injury and the likelihood of him playing or not playing this weekend versus the Falcons?
You're pointing at me?
Yeah.
I'm trying to. Yeah. There was. I kind of found out yesterday because I was working on some stuff and the Diggs and not practicing and stuff, and I reached out to a couple of different people in the organization and it was like, hey, there's something significant here. He's really injured. I go, is this just kind of a rest day to kind of help with the calf? And the word I got back was, no, it's something that they're going to have to deal with here. We'll see this morning, what I kind of, since Jerry had the talk with us at 105.3 The Fan, and we appreciate him and Steven both being on every week. They do a great job with that. But I've reached out since to see, where we're at. Is this one of those things that, you might be playing with? You were joking about, practice squad corners playing again and stuff like that.
Are you ready for starting cornerback Keemon Hall? I'm joking.
Yeah, that's
I liked him in the preseason.
Yeah, he did.
Going green.
When he was playing against guys that aren't playing in the NFL now, but
showed a lot of toughness.
Yeah,
out
he
there.
was. He was pretty impressive.
But that's I like I say, hopefully as our show goes on, I can get a further update about that. So because like I say, once Jerry said that there was he used the word tear. I'm sure the trainers and doctors and stuff are like, well, it's not. Well, maybe it's
there's more medical stuff.
Yeah, there's more
on.
medical.
Yeah.
It might be something that either is really significant or he could play through it, kind of a thing. So,
and I guess Bland is not looking like it's
not
going to
trending
happen.
that way.
He did not practice again yesterday, so it doesn't look like you probably would expect him to play.
Right.
So now at this point, my question becomes like, what are those names? You mentioned Keemon Hall, but at this point, if I have two thoughts here. If Trayvon doesn't play, who should we expect to see at cornerback? If Trayvon plays, but knowing that he has this injury that may compromise him, what do they do with the roster and the active guys with other names of cornerbacks to make sure they're protected?
Yeah, I think they still elevate a corner this week, regardless if Trayvon does play or not. The two candidates are Keemon Hall, as we suggested, Goming Green, North Texas grad, had a pick six in the preseason that pretty much stamped his place on the roster. And then Josh Butler, it's his second season. He's been on the practice squad. He's a Mesquite native, so he's a local guy. Went to Michigan State and played the USFL and just got a random tryout last training camp and made the team. And he stuck around. He hasn't had an opportunity in an NFL game just yet, but it could be an opportunity for either of those guys to get elevated. Then you look at Andrew Booth. If Trayvon Diggs does not start, then it's probably a situation where Booth does start in his place, and that would certainly be an experience. And Amani Oruwariye landed on the IR this week, so you can't use him dealing with a back injury. I think Carson has to go. It's time for him to go.
Yeah.
It's a
Even with
situation
whatever's the condition of the shoulder, right?
Because it doesn't sound like Bland is going to play. So it has to be Kalen Carson stepping in and starting for Bland.
At least he's been full all week.
At least he's been full all week. That is a good sign. I wonder, though, and I was starting to kind of toy with this idea before I walked into the show, if Bland and Diggs both do not play, do they maybe move around Lewis? And do they
That's
try
what I was
to do
thinking.
some things there?
That's
They're
what
going
I
to
was
have to
thinking.
get creative.
Has he played on the outside in his career here?
there's been times where he is lined up there, but it's not something. I'll say this though: if you look at metrics, you're one of the best nickel teams in the league when it comes to that position because of him.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, you look at you might be treading water and drowning in a lot of other places. Your nickel is actually a plus player for your defense. To me, where as much as this team plays and attacks out of the middle of the field with the nickel, with the inside player, I think I leave Lewis where he's at and maybe you have to get in a situation where because they're going to play 11 personnel the whole game.
That's what I was going to ask. Are there a lot of 11?
Yeah, they're going to play. They're going to play. I mean,
that's three wide receivers, one tight end, one running back.
Like 18 of their 19 touchdowns or something like it's some number they have been out of 11 personnel.
Yep.
So you're going to have to match him that way. I think he's going to play in the game a significant role. I would, to be myself, I'd put Israel Mukuamu out there at one of the cornerback spots. I know I talked about using him potentially to take Pitts in this game, but now if Diggs doesn't go or he's compromised and you got Carson, I would consider putting a healthy Mukuamu out there. This is a team that has Mooney can run. Everybody else is kind of pretty standard. It's not anything that you would worry. I mean, Moody's got that quickness and the burst and stuff like that. So, you could that could be a problem. But maybe with some of the other combinations of their receivers, you're not so much worried about their speed that where you could put a guy like Mukuamu on and go that route.
I don't hate the Mukuamu matchup on Drake London. I don't hate that at all. Now that I think about it. Yeah. If Trayvon can't go, I mean, that could be an opportunity for Mukuamu to step in and kind of be that bigger outside corner to take care of Drake London.
I kind of have an idea what Booth is right now, and so I'm gonna keep.
Yeah,
him.
what is that idea?
That idea is he needs to play in reserve.
Okay.
And I think Andrew Booth needs to be my, in case of emergency, break glass guy.
Well, we almost are there.
That's what I'm saying. I think C.J. Goodwin is the really break the glass, and if you had to,
he's a special
that's burning
teams
down
guy.
the building and saving the kids.
Yeah. So I would say I would go with, if you can use Carson, if you can use Mukuamu. And like I say, Lewis, that's kind of where we're going to be at right now.
What a bad year for this defense. Like, it's just one hit after the other. It's crazy.
It's stuff you can't control. I mean, it literally is just like injuries are non-controllable, but you got to deal with them, right? And that just makes it really tough. I feel for a guy like Zimmer, who probably came in thinking he was going to have some pieces, and he's working with a lot of guys that he didn't think he'd be working with. So
the only consistent, healthy guy that I can think of on that defense is DeMarvion Overshown.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She's learned. She's learned from me.
Good one.
She's learned from me never to
don't
talk
say the name. It's like you don't even have to say the name.
You know what?
Okay.
It's all on you, buddy. It's all on you.
If something happens in the press box, everybody's gonna immediately look down at Nick.
I will throw a water bottle at you from the far.
I can hear this.
This is all your fault.
I can hear this in an accent. Damn it,
Nick! Maybe some Spanish words in there too.
No doubt about that.
Yeah.
No doubt about that.
One thing I've learned: you don't say those things out loud.
That is very true.
There you go, Amber. I appreciate you doing that. Okay, real quick. And I know that we talked about with Hall and about Butler. If you just from training camp, which one would you feel more comfortable with?
I think both have their lumps, but both have their wins as well. I think if you're looking for somebody to create turnovers, you look at Keemon Hall. If you're looking for a guy that can step up and play the run a little bit better, Josh Butler. Yeah. But I think both of these guys are pretty similar. I only say Keemon Hall turnover worthy just because he picked off Dak a couple of times. Yeah. And then he had the pick six in the preseason game. So he can get after the ball. He's ball hawk in that sense.
General manager was screaming for some turnovers this morning.
Exactly. That was the same. It was the same way whenever he was in college at North Texas. I think back to that Arkansas game whenever he had a pick six against John Stephen Jones, which is funny to look back on. But I think if you're looking for turnovers, maybe it's a guy like Keemon Hall.
I kind of agree with that too. I think both of them are good practice squad players, but you're to the point now where maybe you're going to need somebody to show up in a cape You know, and one of those guys might have to show up in a cape.
However, I think if this reserve corner that does get elevated has to play significant amount of special teams, then it's Josh Butler. There's a lot of confidence in Josh Butler from a special teams perspective.
There you go.
So
it's going to be an interesting one. We'll see what happens with this injury to Trayvon Diggs, and maybe he can play through it. That I would assume that's probably the hope, is that you can at least put him out there, get Kalen Carson back, and now you're working with something. But it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. We'll take our first break and come back. We'll spend a little time with Yeti. And Ambar Garcia has some ideas for us, and we'll come back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Don't put off getting your oil change, Dallas. Take 5 Oil Change, a proud partner of the Cowboys, is faster than you think. They're so fast, you don't even have to get out of your car. You can take advantage of Take 5's Stay in Your Car 10-minute oil change at any of their locations across the Dallas area. And remember, at Take 5, you stay in your car because they're faster than you think. That means you won't even have time to show off your best touchdown celebration. Take 5, the official oil change of the Dallas Cowboys.
From the field to the festivities, Lucchese embodies the essence of luxury and tradition. Handcrafted with meticulous precision, each pair offers unmatched comfort and style. Stand tall while you're tailgating or cheering in the stands with the Dallas Cowboys collection by Lucchese. Shop the collection today at the Lucchese store at the Star in Frisco or online at lucchese.com. Lucchese, the official boot of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back to the break.
AT&T connecting changes everything.
Welcome back. Second segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. The segment brought to you by blockchain.com. All right, it is Yeti time with Ambar Garcia. Amber, what do you have for us?
All right, this segment is presented by Yeti. Officially licensed Yeti cowboy gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com.
Yeah, it is.
And then today, we're just going to kind of continue what we did last week.
Going to get me one of those Yeti cups when they put beverage in it. You can get a adult beverage with the Yeti cup. Play like we keep playing at home. I'm going to have a couple of them. The post-game show.
Only 2.
Oh, I definitely want to listen to that. Brian having a drink, talking about the post-game show. That should be interesting. Interesting listen.
Fun times.
All right, let's go.
All right, so last week we did where I mentioned some emotions, and then you guys brought back a memory in your time here with the Cowboys of something that reminded you of that emotion. Today we're going to continue that game to end it, because we didn't get through all the words. So the first one would be jealousy. What's one moment that you felt some kind of envy, resentment, jealousy?
I felt so much jealousy working with David Hellman because everybody loves him.
Everybody loves you, Brian.
No, are you kidding me, bro? Shut up over there. I was always jealous of Dave. Like, we'd go on road trips. Tiny Jim. They'd always yell.
And you gave him the name. And they're calling him Tiny Jim.
Because his first time he ever
You're
won
like,
a
what
draft
about
show.
me?
Yeah. Jealous of you? They always yell at
No. You in those instances saying like, what about me? I'm here too. When they're yelling for Dave.
I would walk with Dave, and it's like right by him. And no one would ever say a word. And I was always like, gosh, they love Dave Hellman. I'm jealous of this. Tiny Jim, they love you. And he's like, oh man, they don't know. They don't know. But yeah, I was always I miss Dave, but I was always jealous of him. Like the people do, they just love him. I mean, they love him, and then me, I'm like, Broaddus, you're a bum. You can't, you miss players. So yeah,
people love you too.
Oh no, we'll see.
I would have to say Super Bowl week last year, watching everybody that covers the Chiefs, that covers the Niners, seeing and experiencing that whole week. Also, beat reporters that get to go on these Europe games. Yeah. Gosh, I'm like, every year I'm just like, man.
I tell you what, this guy will take you. He'll take you for a week.
We've had a good time when we've done it. We've only done it once.
Only once. They might not let us do it again.
Yeah.
We had so much fun in London.
We did.
We kicked it. It was fun.
We were a mess.
Might do Mexico City in the next year or two. That would be awesome. I would love that. But these Europe games, I definitely feel a little jealousy whenever those beat reporters are out there trying new food and having fun.
Yeah, no doubt. I would say for me, it's really turned into an annual thing. When I go to the league meetings and I run into my colleagues who typically have a fresh ring, and they're kind of showing it off, and I'm just like, one of these days it's gonna be my turn. One of these days it's gonna be my turn, and just hadn't gotten there yet. But I'll hold the faith, and at some point it will be my turn, and I'll get to go in there, and boy. I'm gonna lift it up. I'm gonna make sure everybody
wear
sees
it every day.
I'm gonna make sure everybody sees it.
You got 2 rings now that you wear.
It's like my fourth.
It's a wedding ring, and this is like just to kind of check my stress. So that's not really fun. I want a ring. So we'll see.
And then the Super Bowl ring will be a culmination of your stress.
Yeah, right.
That's a good one. All right, a moment of guilt, something that made you feel remorse, regret, shame, maybe. A guilty moment.
You know what I'll throw out there? We talked about the whole domain thing last week, but there was another moment that happened. Speaking of international games, this was back the year we went to London.
14.
And, so we had talked to the NFL. The NFL has these every team. That was back when they were kind of getting started with all the international games, and every team that would go, they would have a hashtag that they would use for that week's content to promote it.
I remember
right?
this.
So you have Jaguars UK, you have whatever team, and so they were like, that's what everybody else uses. So why don't you guys just use Cowboys UK? Right, great, we'll use Cowboys UK. So that's going to be our hashtag. So we start putting out our content the morning that we're leaving, and we got this content rolling. We got this hashtag rolling. Back then, everything on Twitter had a hashtag. That was just the way it was back then. And so we start doing that. We get on the plane. It's a long flight. We land in London. We go through security, and then we're on the bus. We get to our hotel, and my phone starts blowing up. And it's like just call after call after call. People just calling, texting. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? Find out that there's somebody that is some fan, non-fan, someone went out and basically was like, Cowboys UK, no, Cowboys suck.
Yeah.
And so it became a thing. Cowboys are using a hashtag, Cowboys suck, to promote their UK game. Now, this got so big to where it was on the late night shows. I want to say it was Jimmy Kimmel is now in his stand-up, in his monologue, is like, do you know what the Cowboys did? And they're just going in. Now, by the way, every other team is using this hashtag. Yeah. Every other team that's going to London is using this hashtag.
So they didn't do like Jaguars.
But nobody cared.
No one cared about that.
Nobody cared. It was the Cowboys.
That's hilarious.
And it was embarrassing, and it was shameful. But at the same time, it kind of reiterated to us, like, we're just different than everybody else. If somebody else does it, no one cares. If we do it, it's going to be news. And I remember at the time, Shannon Gross, he and I were just like, man, this is one that we just didn't see coming. No. But it turned into a whole thing.
Also, the spelling doesn't help.
Yeah.
When you spell it out, though, when you spell it out, you could see it. Yeah. And you're sitting there, and then now you're like, okay, now I get it.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like and by the way, the next week, I think it was the Falcons. There was another team that came to London the next week. They used the same hashtag the next week, and nobody said a word. Nobody said anything. It was ridiculous. But that was probably one of those moments I was most shamed and embarrassed. It was like, we can't win on this.
We should just do a story every Friday of a fire that Derek has had to put out.
Oh, we've had so many.
Because that's back-to-back weeks. That's been.
That's funny. I never heard that story.
Yeah, we've had so many.
That was good.
I don't think I have one. I was thinking, but then I got lost in Derek's story. You got one? You got one, Brian?
I'm always I take such pride in the draft show. So when you talk about players and you just kind of jump up on and then when the player doesn't work out, you feel so ashamed. You feel like, man, I really believe this. I really, you just the passion for it. But then when it doesn't work, you're embarrassed. You're like, man, why did I do that? I let these people down. I feel bad about it. It's just more about that, how can I sit here for 3 weeks and talk, they need this guy, and then and it doesn't work out, then you're like, you feel like you just let everybody down. You're just embarrassed, you're ashamed, because people will remind you of that. They'll remind you, well, you like that, and you're like, you're right. I'm still this day, I'm wearing that. You feel ashamed and embarrassed with
I got a question for you, Brian. Mm-hmm. If you had to go back and think back as your entire career as a scout, as a personnel guy, what was your greatest win as far as a player that you selected, and what was the one that you're like, oh my gosh, that was the worst decision I ever made?
See, I was when I was here, I was involved in pro personnel. Yeah. So my best win was Leroy Glover.
Oh, that guy was a
beast. And that was the one where Jerry asked me, he goes, hey, we're about to hand this guy $5 million. You really think he could play? You couldn't have driven a nail up my rear. I was that.
I don't know what that means, but
you get the idea.
I get the idea. We got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
thank you for the visual.
But seriously, I literally, when he asked me, it took every bit of courage that I had to say, yes, sir, this guy's going to be a great player for us. Yeah. And my heart was just, because $5 million at that time is a lot of money, and
especially for a defensive tackle.
Yeah, we're making these decisions and stuff like that. And the one I wish I would have had to ask, it was Charles Woodson. Because Bill Parcells got super mad at me about that one, but we didn't get. I gave one of my all-time great. Charles Woodson can still play. He ended up going to Green Bay and then being MVP, defensive MVP, and all that. That would have been that could have capped a career right there. Yeah. That could have brought Charles Woodson here. He might have been a great player, might not, but anyway. But yeah, that one was the one about. I'm trying to think about the misses because I wasn't involved. I'd never had an opinion in scouting when it came to the college players.
Got it.
Because they had this guy.
Did you run one draft?
I did run.
That was in Philly, right?
I did, and that was the 1998 draft. Okay. And we had, unfortunately for that draft, 4 of the 8 players we selected made the Pro Bowl.
Wow.
So I had Sal Palantonio from ESPN call me a liar to my face. Like when I did this pre-draft press conference, like Jerry and Steven and all them. So I do this, and I'm trying to tell, hey, we're looking at this angle, this thing. And I was done, and it was kind of a walk-off situation. Sal Palantonio walked up to me and goes, you're a liar. Why do you lie to everybody? I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean lie? And I literally walked through. Matter of fact, WIP, there was a time on WIP, the radio station there, they have an overnight show. Mm-hmm. And this is before Twitter and media, all this stuff. And it was a guy named Gary Cobb. And I'm sitting at the vet in Philly, and Gary Cobb, I'm listening to his show. It's at 2 a.m. Right? I'm sitting there, and Gary's like, I wonder what this Bryan Broaddus guy is going to do. I called his show. And I said, he goes, well, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to take Trey Thomas in the first round tackle from Florida State. Mm-hmm. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah. He goes, Randy Moss. I'm like, yeah, we kind of got some things about Randy and all that. But if you were listening to WIP at 2 a.m,
you'd have known.
You would have known who the Philadelphia Eagles were going to take the very next day.
Yeah.
And this is before Twitter, when everybody's like, when Nick's tweeting out, Bryan Broaddus on WIP was
because he literally is listening to WIP at 2 o'clock in the morning.
But I was listening, and
I got the bat signal that Brian's calling in.
To this day, like Gary Cobb, if I ever see him or run into him, he's like, man, he goes, you, and I'm like, I told you, you wanted to know what I was doing. Mm-hmm. I told you what I was doing. So that was kind of fun. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Story time with Brian. Sorry about that.
Yeah, let's go one more.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good.
Filibustered for you there.
All right, Nick, I'll go with you for this one. A moment of pride where you felt and I can tell you which one, where you felt satisfaction, like fulfillment.
When Hunter Lipke made the roster? Is that what you're thinking?
We have pictures back at training camp. You're sitting there listening to Hunter Lipke, and you're just your face is the embodiment of
proud Brian moment.
Yes.
Yeah. That has been my pet cat since I've arrived. Like when he got signed as an undrafted free agent, within like 20 minutes, I was like, that's the guy. Like he's gonna be legit. So yeah, that's a moment of pride. I guess you could say that. Yeah.
I got one. My moment of pride. And this is about somebody on this show, was the first time she's won a lot of them. Yeah. But the first time the first time Garcia won an Emmy as an analyst, I couldn't have had a prouder moment just because I knew how much she had worked to get to that point. You remember when we first sat down and talked? Yeah. She was not a football person.
So
she didn't know a lot about football.
Not at all.
But the fact of the matter is she really worked at it and her knowledge of the game grew, her ability to be able to communicate it grew, and then she won a freaking Emmy. Yeah. I was just like, man, you can't there's not a better story out there. Yeah. Of my entire time working for the Cowboys. That's one of the proudest moments I had, because I was just like, that's a dedication to somebody that's smart and creative and works really hard. No, seriously.
Now I'm getting all embarrassed.
He's really right. Because
now, at time you felt emotional.
Oh, God.
Because I remember when you and I first started working together at Valley Ranch and trying to explain stuff, and you asked a million questions, and I'm thinking, okay, she wants to learn. But then it got to the point, by the time I was starting to leave to go to 105.3, you were doing telestrations by yourself.
Yep.
You went from being like asking a million questions to like, why would they do that? And then actually standing there in Spanish and just telestrating a play, just knowing it, seeing it. And you're like, hey, what do you think? I see this. I'm like, you got it. Go do it. And you did. That was because you went from like Derek's right. I remember first talking to you at Valley Ranch. I'm like, man, this young lady does not know anything. She knows no football.
None. And she told me that. She told me that when we first interviewed her, and I was like, I just need someone that can basically take what we're doing in English and get it to Spanish.
Right.
So I didn't know it's okay if you don't know. It's okay if you don't know. You'll learn over time.
Yeah.
And sure enough, she came in and far exceeded whatever expectations I had. So
I'll tell you
kudos
what.
Well, I appreciate you guys.
I'll sneak in one more moment of pride, because it involves something we worked on together. It was a Marion Barber documentary last year. That was probably the most pride I've taken in anything that I've worked on.
Yeah.
That was
a good documentary. You guys did a great job, man.
Yeah, because it just popped into my brain. I was like, that is for sure.
Final thing, if I could throw in, I'm proud of the draft show.
Yeah,
that's what I'm proud of, how it's
shout out to Ed Cahill.
Carried all these years from a tiny little booth at Valley Ranch to now this studio.
Everybody listens to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So a lot of pride for that.
No doubt.
All right. Well, I was not expecting all that for that one. But thank you guys. I appreciate it.
That was a good game. All right, let's take our final break. We will come back. I got a few questions for you guys before we end the show. We'll be back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
If you can't be at the stadium, there's no better way to watch your Cowboys than on an LG OLED Evo TV. That's because everything you see is more lifelike. Every play, every hit. I mean, you might as well be on the sidelines. That's how clear it is. It's all thanks to LG's legendary technology. Perfect black, over 8.3 million self-lit pixels. No one comes close. LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game for a reason. See for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag & Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United United Ag & Turf, the official Ag & Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a pepper thing.
And we're going to overtime.
Erica, how much have I spent on concessions?
For questions about their money, Dallas Cowboys fans can turn to Erica, the virtual financial assistant in the Bank of America mobile banking app. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/Erica by your side. Bank of America, official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Erica responses may vary. Digital tools featured require downloading the mobile banking app and may only be available on select mobile devices. Erica is a mobile feature only available in the English language. Your chat may be recorded and monitored for quality assurance. Message and data rates and additional terms may apply. Bank of America, N.A., member FDIC.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to the break.
LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game, but don't take our word for it. Digital Trends said the LG OLED G4 has the best picture quality they've ever seen. See it for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
Welcome back. Final segment of the break live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. I got a few questions for you guys about the Cowboys versus Falcons matchup. Let's run through these. First one, Dallas has only scored 30-plus points once this year. That was in the opening game against the Cleveland Browns. They won 33-17. If Dak is protected this week, because as we've talked about, this is a defense that doesn't typically get a lot of pressure, does Dallas score more than 30?
It's going to take that, and I think, especially now with the way the injuries and stuff are coming down, if depending on what's going to happen with your secondary, I think that to win this game, you're going to have to score over 30 points, and there's a possibility of doing that. Like I say, they don't get a lot of pressure, and they play a lot of off coverage, and there's some things you can take advantage of. But man, you just don't want them to have a get right game. All of a sudden their defense all of a sudden we're getting pressure now, and we're covering your guys where everybody else is moving the ball on them and that kind of thing. But they're going to have to score 30 to win this game, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so as well. You got to be able to protect Dak too, and the connection that we've seen with Dak and CD, it's really starting to hit a rhythm. And honestly, it's on pace with where they were at this point in the season last year. I think he's only about 16 yards, CD only about 16 yards behind what he was at this point in the season last year. So they just got to keep that going. I think a 100, 120-yard day from CD gives this offense a lot better of a chance to win.
But they weren't this bad at this point last year.
Yeah, the team wasn't this bad. But if we're talking about Dak and CD,
Yeah, no, absolutely. But just like overall and like even offensively, it's just so many other issues that I just don't know what it is. But yes, I think it's going to come down to which offense can score the most points. And I don't mean to give my prediction now, but the Falcons offense, I feel like the way I see it, they can potentially be a lot faster and quick and like get way ahead in the game of the scoring game.
Yeah. And
you're just maybe a little too late to catch up. I don't know, but absolutely it's going to come down to them scoring more than 30 points.
Yeah, I think it's all about protection. I've been saying that for a couple weeks now, and I think if you get the protection right, I think a lot of other things in this offense works, and they're going to need that this week, as you guys all mentioned. All right, let's move on to the next question. Dallas averages 2.9 seconds in time to pressure. That means from snap to the time they get there.
One of the best.
2.9. That's the second longest time to pressure in the NFL. So they're not getting pressure as quickly as most teams. Is that acceptable, though, if it gives them a better chance to be decent against the run, specifically this week when they're facing those running backs?
Run that back?
So you mentioned it last week. You were like, I'm a lot less concerned about getting pressure than I am playing the lanes and stopping the run. So despite this stat that says they're not getting pressure, and certainly not getting pressure quickly, are you okay with that? Is that acceptable if, as a result of that, they're playing better rush defense?
I still want to get after Cousins in this game. With what his stats look like whenever he's facing pressure compared to when he's not facing pressure, it's a clear discrepancy. I'd want to dedicate a little bit more resources towards getting after the quarterback in this one.
Not satisfactory.
Yeah. You'd be comfortable in this game, not to put words in your mouth, with giving up maybe the possibility of getting gashed a few times in the run game.
Seattle.
If you can get pressure.
Seattle game. Seattle. Bijan Robinson did have one of his better games. And they said, okay, fine, run the ball, but he didn't kill him in the game. All of a sudden it's like, but what did they do? They got after Cousins and they were able to make some things happen that way. And so give me this week. Last week I wanted to defend the run. This week I need to get pressure. So it's not satisfactory if you're slow getting there.
I agree. And I think if you're looking to start generating and creating some of those turnovers, this is the time to do it. When you do create some pressure there and make him, that's the most likely way for Cousins to kind of throw those passes and then create a possibility for these defenders to get their hands on that ball.
All right. Here's the last question I have for you guys. Which Dallas defender, if you had to pick just one, if they played better than they've played to this point, it would have the greatest impact on this defense?
I would say Mozzie Smith. I think if Mozzie Smith can be active in the run game like he was against the Giants and maybe even find a little pass rush and get after the quarterback a little bit, that would be huge for this defense. I kind of stand on the table as saying that if they had a one tech that was consistent, it would solve a lot of problems for this defense. It would kind of be a trickle-down effect.
Yeah, I think Malik Hooker, if I could pick one guy that really has kind of had a little bit of some problems, you got to defend the middle of the field. These guys are going to run. They're going to try and run routes. It's not so much about all the crossing routes, but it's the seams and stuff that they throw down the middle of the field. You might be in a situation, too, where you're going to have to play the heavy box stuff that we talked about, having an extra guy down. That's going to put Malik Hooker in a lot of situations playing in the middle of the field. If he could be, he's dropped a couple of interceptions along the way. And that's the thing with Cousins will do. Cousins will overthrow a ball, too, and if he gets on pressure. You can't drop balls. But I think Malik Hooker needs to be really, really good in this game if he can.
I'm going to go with Overshawn. I think with him, and I don't know if the Cowboys are planning on utilizing him this way this weekend, but we've talked about it on the show. He's one of the guys that you can utilize to create some pressure.
There you go.
So if he plays a really good game where he's being just fast, very quick on the footwork and the tackling, we know that's an area that the Cowboys haven't been great at, and I think he can just play really, really well and hopefully create some pressures somehow. I would point him as the guy that I would want him to.
Maybe need to be a little orthodox on defense today. There's some things you're probably, like you say, Ambar, you're going to have to take some chances here. Nick's right too. The pressure is his stats for pressure and non-pressure are tremendous. And if you just allow him to feel comfortable, we've seen Kirk Cousins throw for 400 yards in the game when he was with the Commanders and the Vikings. You did a really good job of pressuring him. But this game, you got to get pressure on him because it is clearly different the way he plays.
I knew I threw these stats out earlier in the week, but I'll throw them out again. When Kirk Cousins is not facing pressure, 1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns, 1 interception, 111.7 passer rating. When he is facing pressure, 707 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 68.5 passer rating. So very, very clear discrepancy there.
All right, let's get to our picks. Let's go around the table. Tell me what you think's going to happen this weekend. I'll start with you.
I was wrong against when I predicted that the game against the Lions was going to be a shootout. Well, it was. It hit the over, but I think this is truly going to be a shootout.
At least one team was shooting it out.
Yeah, exactly. It did hit the over. I was right. I truly think this is going to be a type of game where the last team that has the ball wins. I think the offense is really going to find some strides this week. I think the Falcons are going to win, though. And so I'm taking the Falcons.
Yeah, Falcons going to win this one. It's going to be 34-28.
Sorry, Derek, but I have to say it. I think this is a week that, yes, I agree with Nick. The offense, they'll play a better game this week, and I think they'll get the chains going, and they'll be able to score at least 2 touchdowns at the very least. But the Falcons' offense is just going to do more than yours, so I pick the Falcons. Unfortunately, I would say
save us, Derek.
I just gotta keep believing, man. I gotta keep believing. Look, here's the deal. This is not something that we've seen really with Mike, that they lose 3 games in a row.
No,
like that's not something we've seen. So
there's a lot of things we haven't seen.
I know,
but we haven't seen this many defensive injuries.
We certainly haven't.
I don't feel as good about my pick this week as I have in recent weeks. I will say that.
I do think, but also the difference is those last 2 teams you played are much better teams, in my opinion, than Atlanta is. I think there's an opportunity this weekend. It's just a matter of, and a lot of this, I might change my opinion if Trayvon doesn't play.
Yeah.
If Trayvon plays, then I think Dallas has an opportunity here, and I think it'll be a high-scoring game either way. But I think.
But either way, that would be him playing banged up, anyways.
But him playing banged up is still better than throwing Booth out there or throwing whoever it is that doesn't have the experience. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to kill those guys. I'm just saying, they just don't have the experience. Going up against an offense,
teammates like this, Derek.
I mean, they don't have the experience, and so I just that's going to be a very difficult task against an offense like this that loves to throw the ball, especially if Dallas can't get any pressure.
Right.
That's going to be, good night. But I think if Trayvon can play, I think they got a shot, and I think it's a high-scoring game. 38-34 is what I would say as a final score. All right, appreciate you guys joining us. We'll be back on Monday. We'll tell you what went right and wrong. Till then, for Nick Harris, Bryan Broaddus, Ambar Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?